In one of the most surprising twists of the 2025 Formula One driver market, a rumor is rapidly gaining momentum, and it's a big one. George Russell might be heading out of Mercedes and straight into green. That's right, the very same George Russell once seen as the future face of Mercedes could be making a shock move to Aston Martin. Let's pause for a second. This is the guy who was handpicked as Lewis Hamilton's heir apparent, the one Mercedes expected to build their next championship era around. And yet, according to new insider talk, the Brackley-based team could be preparing to let him walk away. Why? And how does Max Verstappen suddenly fit into this bizarre puzzle? Let's break it down. Russell's current Mercedes contract ends this year. Publicly, both Russell and team principal Toto Wolff have kept things calm, saying they're aligned and there's no urgency. But the fact remains, no contract has been signed. In Formula One, silence often speaks volumes, and this silence is loud. Enter Aston Martin. According to multiple reports, the Silverstone squad has made Russell their top target for 2026, and while at first glance that might look like a sideways or even backward move, context matters. Aston Martin today is not the Aston Martin of 3 years ago. This team has been aggressively transforming from midfield outsiders into serious contenders. They've secured a game-changing factory upgrade, locked in a power unit partnership with Honda starting in 2026, and most critically, lured the legendary Adrian Newey into a leadership role. Yes, the Adrian Newey, the engineering mastermind behind more championships than anyone else in the sport. The Stroll family-backed team is playing the long game. Lance Stroll's seat is obviously protected. His dad owns the team, but Fernando Alonso, as incredible as he still is now 44. How much longer can he keep delivering at that level? Bringing in George Russell would mark a shift, a young, race-winning talent with championship ambition to anchor the team's new era. But here's where things get even more interesting and potentially explosive. Whispers in the paddock suggest that Aston Martin's ambitions go beyond just George Russell. There are strong indications that they've set their sights on both Russell and Max Verstappen. You heard that right, a potential super team pairing of two of the most talented and intense drivers on the grid. That might sound far-fetched, but it's not as wild as it seems. Let's rewind to earlier this season. Reports surfaced of a mind-boggling $300 million offer being floated to Verstappen by Aston Martin. While the team quickly denied anything formal, they stopped short of dismissing the idea outright. Their statement? It's normal for the media to speculate. We have a fantastic driver lineup under contract. Translation: we're not confirming it, but we're definitely not ruling it out. And as any F1 fan knows, contracts are only as solid as the money being offered to break them. It's not just Russell being linked with other teams either. He's been seen chatting up key figures across the paddock, from McLaren's Zach Brown and Andrea Stella to a warm exchange with Alpine advisor Flavio Briatore to a very public moment with Christian Horner of Red Bull. Horner even went on record saying, "We'd be foolish to overlook someone like George." That's not casual paddock banter, that's positioning. So what's going on at Mercedes? That's the question everyone's asking. If Mercedes is genuinely considering letting Russell go, a driver they've invested so heavily in, then you have to wonder what's coming next. Some insiders believe Toto Wolff may already have his eyes locked on Max Verstappen as his top target for 2026. And when you look at Wolff's recent comments, it kind of adds up. After the on-track clash between Russell and Verstappen at the Spanish Grand Prix, Wolff's response was surprisingly soft. Instead of backing his own driver, he offered a vague defense of Verstappen, calling the incident incomprehensible, but stopping short of criticism. That's not typical behavior for a team boss, especially not one protecting a star driver. It begs the question, is Mercedes shifting their loyalty? Imagine this. Russell heads to Aston Martin to lead their new Honda era alongside Newey, while Mercedes clears space for Verstappen to become the face of their 2026 campaign. Suddenly, everything makes sense. And if, just if, Aston Martin somehow pulls off the unthinkable and brings in both Russell and Verstappen, Formula One fans would be in for the most combustible teammate pairing since Hamilton versus Rosberg, or maybe even Prost versus Senna. The tension, the ego clashes, the inevitable on-track drama. It would be a dream scenario for fans and a nightmare for race strategists. We already know these two don't exactly exchange holiday cards. Their driving styles are aggressive, their personalities clash, and their history on track is spicy. Putting them in the same garage is like locking a lion and a tiger in a cage and expecting them to share dinner. You're going to get fireworks, you're going to get controversy, and you're definitely going to get headlines. But if they manage to coexist, that could be the strongest driver lineup F1 has seen in years. A juggernaut team capable of dominating both constructors' and drivers' championships. That's the bet Aston Martin seems ready to place. Meanwhile, Mercedes quietly continues to develop what's rumored to be one of the strongest power units for the 2026 regulation overhaul. Just like they nailed it in 2014 with the turbo hybrids, they may be setting themselves up for another era of dominance. So why let Russell go unless something or someone better is coming? Again, all signs keep pointing back to Verstappen. If Wolff can pull that off, it would be one of the greatest strategic moves of his entire career. It would also explain his calm, measured approach to Russell's contract situation. Whether Russell ends up renewing with Mercedes or makes a bold move to Aston Martin, one thing is crystal clear. The 2026 season is shaping up to be an absolute game changer. With massive regulation changes on the horizon, nothing is guaranteed. History shows us that regulation resets can destroy dynasties and elevate underdogs overnight. This is F1's version of the Wild West. All bets are off. The sport is about to reshuffle its deck in a major way. And for all the talk about Red Bull dominance, the team faces its own uncertainty. Honda's departure, Ford coming in, Adrian Newey's exit. It's not business as usual at Milton Keynes anymore. They'll need to rebuild, retool, and potentially rewire their entire approach. Contrast that with Aston Martin, who now boast a state-of-the-art facility, Honda engines, a blank slate car concept for 2026, and possibly the two most valuable drivers in the sport. If it all comes together, Russell, Verstappen, Newey, and Honda, we could be watching the birth of F1's next super team. Or a beautiful disaster in the making. And that's the beauty of it. The only thing certain in Formula One, nothing is ever certain. What do you think? Should George Russell stick it out with Mercedes and wait for his moment? Or should he take the gamble and lead the charge at Aston Martin's next-gen project? And if Verstappen really does end up joining him, will they build a dynasty or go down in flames? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and buckle up, because the 2026 driver market isn't just heating up, it's about to explode.